Hello everyone, thanks for coming to another highlights video. This is Aaron Holloway. I'm going to be I'm going to be giving my highlights for Endless Fantasy Online, The Phoenix Kingdom. I'll read the description first and then we'll move on to my highlights. Here's the description. Lucas Luke Patterson, an ordinary geeky college student, gets a summer job at Vortex Industries. His summer job is to test new virtual reality game using the Vortex capsule, a machine capable of fully immersing you into a virtual reality. His first session is life-changing, and he quickly becomes engrossed in a new fantasy world. Things are going great until a rogue hacking group attacks the servers that host the game, trapping all players inside. Things get even worse when a dark force gains power and has sinister plans for Endless Fantasy Online. Can Luke and his friends survive the dark forces that are on the rise? Will he and the other players be able to cope with the fact that they can't return to Earth? Will Vortex Industries find the hacking group responsible and save the players? Find answers to all this and more in Endless Fantasy Online, The Phoenix Kingdom. Alright, so I really enjoyed this book. Let's just hop right into my 5 highlights here. Highlight 1 is, this is a trapped in the game lit RPG. That becomes pretty immersive for the reader right from the get-go. You jump right into the story, and that's really important for me with these type of things. Because if you're outside the story too much in these trapped in the game stories, you tend to, not with all books, but you tend to get a little bit sidetracked. And that it gets hard to then jump into the story in-game. I'm usually not a fan of that story for that reason. So that should tell you a lot about me recommending this book. This one is very solid and does a great job at getting you interested and balancing a kind of slice of life feel with an action-packed pace. And that brings me to my second major highlight, which is this is a PG or light PG-13 book. So this is very family-friendly. The only reason I might personally rate it as PG-13 is the violence, but that depends on your sensitivity. I personally, if I were rating it, I would give it a PG rating. And those are kind of rare in this genre, quite frankly. A lot of lit RPG books are a little bit for older readers. So there's that, older gamer type readers. That brings me to my third major highlight, which is the story pace moves very quickly. You don't get bogged down with things, and things just move really quick at a good, solid pace. This does mean that sometimes things move a bit more quickly than some people might like. I recognize that. But personally, I enjoyed the pacing, particularly for a family-friendly book. It just really had that energy and that flow, which is sometimes really hard to get in a family-friendly book. And then brings me to my fourth highlight, which is the main character. Lucas isn't dumb. He is a bit innocent, and he takes his time to really interact with the NPCs, which allows him to earn different abilities and skills in the game that others don't usually gain as they level and progress. This doesn't make him OP or overpowered, but it does give him more of a magical and skill-based utility role at first in the story, which is something somewhat unique in the genre in general. It doesn't stay that way. He does end up getting other skills and abilities and ends up getting a very interesting class in his kind of class selection scene there. But I really enjoyed when kind of his... at first, he kind of unlocks what everyone else is able to do. That actually brings me up to my fifth highlight, which is you really root for the main character in this as you go, and you learn about what's going on in the story. There are some griefers right at the start of the book that are making other players' lives harder. They're all trapped in the game, and some hacker groups kind of lock them in. And these guys are just acting like jerks, making everybody else's lives harder. They're killing them, taking their stuff. And when you die in this game, you respawn. It's a game, right? And the main character's skills start allowing the other players to really start making a dent and pushing back against the griefers. So he's not overpowered himself, but he ends up making everybody else actually capable of taking on the bad guys, taking on these jerks that end up having other connections we learn later. Mwahaha. Anyway, that's a whole non-spoilers. These are supposed to be non-spoiler reviews. I'm sorry. All right, well, that's it for Endless Fantasy Online, The Phoenix Kingdom. by Devin Auspland. If you would like to support this, support me, support my channel, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, or go look over at my Patreon. If you want to support the author of the book, feel free to purchase the book above if you're on Amazon, or below in the description if you're on YouTube. Really cheap. It's free on Kindle Unlimited. It's free on Kindle Unlimited. It's a good story. If you're looking to, if you have a young teenager who's really interested in gaming and you're trying to get them into reading, this is a good book to try and get them into reading. Not really for the older teenagers. I wouldn't suggest that if you're trying to get them into reading. This is probably not the book for that. But if you have young preteens or teens who are trying to get into reading, this is the one for you, I would suggest. Give them this and see if they'll bite. All right. Thank you all, and thank you for coming to my Thank you all, and have a great day.